Hey everyone, it is the 4th of July. So, to everyone in the United States like me that celebrates that, fireworks, family, good food, hot dog eating contests, all that stuff. Hey man, have a good time today, right? Let's have a good time celebrating being a country. But setting that all aside, what we're really talking about today is about one particular rumor, a brand new rumor that I became aware of last night due to a friend of the channel. And we're going to go over a little bit of history of this person on why we need to be paying attention to what they're saying. And all of this has to do with Super Mario and potentially the 40th anniversary of Super Mario based on the individual game we're talking about. One that I think a lot of people are going to be really excited for. And no, I'll tell you right now, this isn't about like the brand new, hopefully coming not too far away 3D Mario game. This is actually about something else that's really going to be exciting for you guys. And that something else is a remaster of a hotly desired game that we never had on Switch and would actually be better than anything else that's related to it that we did get on Switch for a certain anniversary in the past. Of course, you guys know about Super Mario 3D All-Stars, right? That's the game they did for an anniversary for Mario before. Well, a particular game seems to be coming according to this rumor, and it's coming in a way that is way better than what we got with 3D All-Stars. That being said, folks, before we dive in, I want to remind you that we are giving away 5 copies of Donkey Kong Bonanza. That's right. In order to enter, all you have to do is go down to the link in the pinned comment or the description. I wish everybody luck. And let's first dive into why we need to listen to this person. So we're going to call this section the context. And there's multiple pieces of context we have to talk to. First off, the source. Let's get to who the source is. And the source is Special Nick, one of the co-hosts of the Xbox Era podcast. And he said this all the way back on January 16th. He actually mentioned some of this stuff before then, but this is just like the public evidence, so I don't have to dig through some of his old podcast episodes. But he has a source that told him that it would release in June. The Switch 2 would release in June. Is all but confirmed to be correct, and that could mean that the pricing they gave me of $449 and $499 might also be correct. And then he put out his opinion that he thinks the $50 extra is a Mario Kart bundle. Remember, Mario Kart and Switch 2 were revealed that exact same day, but we didn't know the release date, we didn't know the pricing, we didn't know Mario Kart was technically the launch game, although that was fairly obvious to many of us. And all of this ended up being true. This source of his, it was releasing in June. The price points were correct. His speculation on Mario Kart being a bundle for the higher price was correct. And again, he talked about this stuff before the 16th, but this is just one of those things where this is a public record of it that didn't require me to have to dig through podcast episode after podcast episode to find the original statements by him. Okay, cool. That reason that matters is it's the same source giving him this new information. So that's why that context matters. Also, there was a recent announcement of Helldivers 2. Helldivers 2 was just announced yesterday as coming to Xbox on August 26th. You can pre-order it right now, all this stuff. Helldivers 2 is a game that is made by an independent studio, to be clear, but Helldivers itself is a Sony-owned IP, and Sony owns all the publishing rights as well, which makes sense. It's like a third party makes a Zelda game using the Zelda IP. Nintendo would own all the rights to that because it's their IP, right? So that's really interesting because if we go here and look a year ago on the Xbox Era podcast, literally, look at 1 year ago, the exact date was April 20th, 2024. So technically more than a year ago, he said this about Helldivers 2 and Xbox.
You know, we know that PlayStation has a new CEO at the moment. I think the CEO might be a little more open to certain things. So what I've heard, it's just a rumor that I've heard, is that there may be some very, very early preliminary discussions about the possibility of Helldivers 2 coming to Xbox.
So, as you can obviously see there, he absolutely nailed the whole Helldivers 2 stuff, right? Now, you could say, yeah, maybe he just got lucky. Maybe he got lucky about the June and all that, and he's just making all this up. But that just seems very unlikely to me. And this is where we get into what the actual rumor is. And what this could mean, especially with Super Mario's 40th anniversary coming up, because I kind of feel like that could be when we see this, or at least have it announced, especially if a new 3D Mario is not coming next year. But even if it is, this still could happen. What are we talking about? Well, let's get into my live stream last night. So I was streaming last night, as I do many different nights, Q&As. In case you guys don't know, they go unlisted after the fact because we have copyrighted music and stuff that gets played. But here's the thing. He was in the chat. And in the chat, he tagged me, and he wanted me to know about something. And I talked to him about this privately, but let's get to what he wanted me to know. So you're seeing over here in the live stream chat, Special Nick is right here. I've heard we might be getting a Galaxy 2 remaster. And, you know, I was going to dismiss it at first, even though he is a friend of the channel and he has been right on some stuff in the past, wrong on some things as well. But I was going to dismiss it at first. And then he talked to me in DMs, and I'm not going to show you guys any of those DMs. One, because he requested that I don't share any of the actual information in the DMs. And two, obviously it involves confidential sources and stuff. But the bottom line is it is the same source that gave him the information on the June release date, the pricing, etc. So yeah, that is really, really interesting, because now we got to start taking this maybe a bit more seriously than we might have taken it otherwise. So Galaxy 2, right? It's the game we all wanted to be in Super Mario 3D All-Stars, even as an unlockable game or something, and it wasn't there, right? There were some rumors and speculation and hopium around that time, but the game was not actually part of 3D All-Stars, and most of us didn't really understand why, but hey, here we are, and maybe it's getting a full-on remaster. Now, a remaster isn't as exciting as like a from-the-ground remake, but it is a lot more effort, a lot more oomph than what 3D All-Stars was. 3D All-Stars was essentially just taking the old games, putting them in HD, and then still emulating them and all of that. And it's just basically just emulation up-resing. And there was some artifacting and some other issues with some of that emulation as well. Remaster would actually be more like it plays locally, not via emulation, and actually has a bunch of visual upgrades. So that's really exciting. In fact, here's some footage of some stuff I found on YouTube. I'll put a link down below. This is just people that have modified Galaxy 2 in emulators and all of that to try to make it look better. I don't know if this will be even close to representative of what the remaster could be from Nintendo, but it's at least an idea of what can be done and how much prettier things can look, probably even in 4K, because I'm recording this video in 4K. So we'll leave this footage playing for most of the rest of the video. I just have to say that this actually could make a lot of sense. One, it could also be on Switch, right? It could be on Switch and Switch 2. I'm not really sure how Nintendo would handle that per se. Obviously, on Switch 2, it would be really impressive because you can go all the way up to 4K, 60 FPS, and do lots of crazy stuff. But what I actually really like about this idea is we do have that 40th anniversary of Super Mario coming up, and it's called Super Mario Galaxy 2. So it is a Super Mario game. And in September, we have that 40th anniversary. That's actually when it happens. And there's some speculation over whether we get a general direct that month or what's going to happen. And look, bottom line is I think we're at least going to get a Super Mario direct or something. We got to see the Mario movie. And they're going to reveal some plans for the 40th. Do you really think Nintendo's going to let the mascot of the whole company not have a celebration for its 40th anniversary? Of course not. You know, maybe instead of it being Mario 35, it's Mario 40 that comes back as a temporary thing on the eShop. Maybe they re-release 3D All-Stars, but for Switch 2 and 4K, I guess that's possible. But reality is people want new things that we haven't experienced before. And while we could see obviously the Mario movie, we could see the new 3D Mario game, what's something that we can actually play anytime soon? What if actually it's a shadow drop even of of Mario Galaxy 2 Remaster, but even if not shadow dropped, at least releasing relatively soon, as in before the end of the year. That, to me, would be really, really cool, and honestly a direction that I would like to see Nintendo go in. And I don't think it would be the only thing they do, but it would be one of the major things they announce for the 40th anniversary. And again, this is just me speculating that they even wait for the 40th anniversary, because what if it's something that they actually just announce in a direct this month, right? Like, I don't even know if there's going to be a Super Mario direct. We're just kind of assuming there will be. It could just be a general direct. Or it could be no direct. We don't know Nintendo's marketing plans at this point, and they've been very weird with marketing plans since August of last year. Nothing is on the normal schedule. Literally, directs are not happening at the same time. Pokemon directs aren't happening at the same time. Like, everything is just wonky since August of last year, and that's almost a year ago. So when we imagine that that's almost a year ago, things are kind of weird with directs. They're just not happening on the schedules we're used to. So we'll see. But this is something that I do think is really awesome. It is something I want to see happen. I think it's something that a lot of you guys want to see happen as well. Mario Galaxy 2, and this is just my personal opinion, I feel is actually the better game than Mario Galaxy. But Mario Galaxy has that same thing like with Breath of the Wild. It did it first, so it had all the wow factor. Galaxy 2 just perfected all of that and did it better. Even like the story, I think, is even better in Galaxy 2, even though it's basically copy-pasting a lot of the story from Galaxy 1. So there's that, I guess. And, you see that with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom as well. Like Breath of the Wild had the wow factor. Tears of the Kingdom didn't wow people as much, but I do think it's a fundamentally better game than the original. Same thing here with Galaxy 2. And a lot of us haven't played Galaxy 2 in a very long time. There's no modern way to play it without emulation. That's also one of the big things about this coming back is this was a Wii game that literally was not playable on Switch at all. Like there was no way you could play it technically with backwards compatibility on Wii U, but that was just the original game. It hasn't never been re-released, and that's a big thing. Nintendo's re-released a lot of stuff, sometimes things multiple times, but never Galaxy 2. It's never seen the light of day again, and maybe it was smart of them to give it a break, have 3D All-Stars for the last anniversary, and then come back around and give us this for the 40th anniversary, but then do it in a bigger way. I mean, look, the last game that Nintendo that use the remaster moniker. We've seen like Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. I guess Donkey Kong Returns HD as well. But the last time that I remember Nintendo using the remaster moniker was Metroid Prime Remaster. And that was that was a hell of a visual overhaul over the original. And if we're going to expect something like that for Galaxy 2, that would be crazy. But again, guys, this is a rumor. It's coming from Special Nick, who is more of an Xbox guy, but does love Nintendo as well. And he does have some industry sources, and he has been right on stuff in the past, but also wrong on things as well. So obviously you got to take all of this with a grain of salt, but it is something that just based on the history and the fact that this source was so right about other things in the past, that it was Switch 2 in particular, things that nobody knew back in January. I think that this is something that we at least have to pay attention to, at least put it out there as a rumor for Mario's 40th, because that's my speculation that it's related to the 40th. But if these things exist and the 40th is right around the corner, kind of feels like that's the obvious timing, right? So anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I am Nathaniel Rebel Jans from Nintendo Prime, and as always, I'll catch you in the next video.